Welcome to Story Voyage, where we bring you gripping tales of love, betrayal, and everything in between. Today's story is one of heartache and redemption as a 37-year-old marriage faces the ultimate test. Make sure to stick around until the end. This one will leave you speechless. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories. After 37 years of marriage, I told my husband, "You're the best, I love only you." But something changed. For 37 years, Mark and I had a marriage most people would envy. We met in college, fell in love quickly, and built a life together. 2 kids, a cozy suburban home, countless road trips, late night talks, and shared dreams. Mark was a constant, reliable, caring, and steady. I always believed that if soulmates existed, he was mine. But life is complicated, and feelings can sneak up on you in ways you don't expect. It started about 2 years ago, though I didn't recognize it at the time. Mark had just retired and I was still working part-time at a local nonprofit. Our routines shifted, and suddenly we had more time together than we had since the early days of our marriage. At first, it was wonderful. Lazy mornings, cooking meals together, binge watching our favorite shows. But over time, the predictability of it all began to feel suffocating. I didn't want to admit it, not even to myself. Mark was a good man, the kind of husband anyone would dream of. How could I possibly feel restless, ungrateful even? I dismissed the feelings as a phase, a side effect of adjusting to this new chapter of our lives. Then, last summer, everything changed. I volunteered to help organize a community event, something to give me a break from the house. That's where I met Dan. He was one of the other volunteers, divorced, a little rough around the edges, and full of stories that made me laugh like I hadn't in years. At first, I thought nothing of it. We were just 2 people working together on a project. But the more time we spent together, the more I realized how much I enjoyed his company. It wasn't love, not in the way you might imagine, but it was thrilling, a reminder of who I used to be before life became predictable. I started looking forward to our meetings. A text from Dan would brighten my day. I told myself it was harmless, just a friendship, but deep down, I knew it wasn't fair to Mark. One night, I stayed out later than usual after an event planning session. When I came home, Mark was sitting in the living room, his book untouched on the coffee table. He looked up as I walked in, his eyes searching mine. "You've been out a lot lately," he said. "It's just the event," I replied quickly, avoiding his gaze. He nodded but didn't say anything more. That silence hung between us for days, heavier than any argument we'd ever had. I started pulling away after that. I didn't want to hurt Mark, but I didn't know how to explain what I was feeling. I wasn't even sure I understood it myself. Was I bored, unhappy, or just selfish? Then came that Sunday morning. The pancakes, the sunlight, the moment that broke me. "Mark," I said, breaking the silence that had grown between us, "I need to tell you something." He put down his coffee, his eyes steady but cautious. "Okay." "I love you," I began. "You've been my partner, my rock, my everything for 37 years. I can't imagine my life without you." He smiled faintly, but the unease in his eyes deepened. "But," I swallowed hard. "But something's changed. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel lost. Like I'm not the same person I used to be, and I don't know how to find my way back." Mark was silent for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he leaned forward, his hands clasped on the table. "Ellen," he said softly, "do you want to leave me?" The question hit me like a punch to the gut. "No," I said quickly. "No, I don't want that. I need to figure out what's missing. Not with us, but with me." His shoulders relaxed slightly, but the sadness in his eyes was undeniable. "We can work through this," he said. "Whatever it is, we can face it together." And I believed him. For a while, we did try. We started going on more dates, rediscovering the little things that made us fall in love in the first place. For a few months, it felt like we were rebuilding something. But then Dan texted me again. It was innocent enough, a quick message asking how the event had gone. But seeing his name on my phone screen stirred something in me that I couldn't ignore. I knew it wasn't right. I knew it wasn't fair to Mark. But the pull was too strong. I met Dan for coffee one afternoon, telling myself it was just to talk. But when I sat across from him, listening to his stories and feeling that spark again, I realized I couldn't keep lying to myself or to Mark. When I got home that evening, Mark was waiting for me, just like before. Only this time he didn't ask where I'd been. Instead, he handed me a letter. "I found this in your bag," he said quietly, his voice trembling. I froze, realizing what he'd seen, a handwritten note from Dan thanking me for everything and saying how much he enjoyed spending time with me. "Mark, don't," he interrupted. "Just tell me one thing. Do you love him?" The room seemed to spin as I struggled to find the words. "No," I whispered. "I don't love him, but I think I lost sight of what love really means." Mark's face crumpled, and for the first time in years, I saw him cry. It broke something in me that I didn't know could still break. That night, I slept in the guest room. The next morning, Mark told me he needed time to think. He left the house without saying where he was going, and for the first time in 37 years, I wasn't sure if he'd come back. Weeks passed and we started seeing a counselor. It wasn't easy, and I'm not sure if we'll ever fully recover. But one thing became clear: love isn't about the sparks or the excitement. It's about choosing someone every single day, even when it's hard. Mark chose me for 37 years, and I betrayed that. Now, I'm choosing him, hoping it's not too late to find our way back to each other. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey. What would you have done in their shoes? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Story Voyage for more unforgettable tales. Until next time, take care and treasure those you love.